Evidence of the person of the Holy Spirit. Number 1, Acts chapter 5, verses 3 and 4 and 9. Then Peter said, "Why has the adversary so filled your heart that you lie to the Holy Spirit? You have lied not to human beings, but to God. Then why did you people plot to test the Spirit of the Lord?" A. If the Holy Spirit is only wind and power, how can one lie to him? B. The Holy Spirit is God. Wind and power is not tested, but God can be tested by man. Number 2, in 1 Corinthians 12, verse 11, it says, "One and the same Spirit is at work in all these things, distributing to each person as He chooses." A. Some translations say, "as He wills." If the Holy Spirit is only wind and power, then He would not have His own will. B. He can give and remove gifts and specific anointings at specific times in order to get work accomplished. His presence is God, which is why we see glory, manifestations, miracles, and people weeping in His presence, etc. Number 3, the book of John 14, verse 16. "And I will ask the Father, and He will give you another comforting counselor like me, the Spirit of truth, to be with you forever." A. Definition of counselor. It's a noun, a person trained to give guidance on personal, social, or psychological problems. B. A counselor can be an attorney, a person whose job is to provide advice, help, or encouragement, such as a marriage or guidance counselor. A camp counselor, a law counselor, is used to address a lawyer. "Good afternoon, counselor." C. The counselor, the Holy Spirit, leads us into all truth. D. This is indicative that the Holy Spirit is not just wind and power. He also is the one who leads us to the cross, convicts us of sin, gives wisdom, etc. He is a person. He is God. The Bible clearly says that heaven is God's throne and the earth is His footstool, that Jesus ascended into heaven in bodily form and is seated at the right hand of the Father. I am sure He walks around in heaven, but seated has other meanings. Jesus makes intercession for us while He is in heaven. His work is accomplished. That's why He is seated. He's done everything His Father has asked Him to do. God's not going to leave His throne. He remains in heaven. Actually, His throne is above the highest heavens. He is judge. He can't leave. He's constantly receiving requests, petitions, making declarations and judgments, etc. He is at work all the time, for He neither slumbers nor sleeps. He watches to make sure His words are fulfilled. Jesus will not leave heaven until His second coming. It is the Holy Spirit, who is God, that is in the earth and everywhere at the same time. How is it that 20 people can be at a prayer service, and all 20 hear the voice of the Lord as He reveals things to them, and they each get what they need? 20 different revelations. One person may hear this, another may hear that. Yes, when I used to feel an invisible hand comforting the top of my head, patting it, and when I would feel someone holding my hand, I thought it was God causing me to feel it by His power. But later on I learned that it was the hand of the Holy Spirit. He has form, and He also has His own will. However, the three, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, are totally one. Don't get hung up on the word Trinity. It's not a false doctrine. It's just saying the three are one. The Holy Spirit has His own will. Remember, there is only one God. Now, we know that devils and Satan have form because they're fallen angels. I sometimes think that the devil doesn't want us to realize that the Holy Spirit has form, because the devil still wants dominion. Here's a simple way to explain it. There once was a man who met a person over the phone. They were introduced by a mutual friend. The man talked over the phone with the person often. He even recognized his voice and his ringtone when the person would call. They became very good friends. Yet the man never met him in person. until one day he asked if he could. The person was so humble and gentle, yet so powerful, he would never go against the man's will, until the man asked to meet him. And very soon after that, the person showed up at the man's home and they met in person. Please note, there's a cult denomination that's been around for decades that insists that the Holy Spirit is an actual dove and only a dove, and that when we get to heaven, we will see a dove flying around. They take this from the Gospels when the dove descended upon Jesus. We don't know if it was an actual dove or the mannerism of a dove. Either way, what does it matter? But this is what cults do. They'll center their entire denomination around one or two scriptures. I invite you today to ask to meet the Holy Spirit in person.